lied to be evil and white. Everybody's trying to get our countries. It's so bad. Means do what the globalists say or you're a Nazi. All right, I want to finish up here with the latest on Iran and what's unfolding. And Tucker Carlson very upset with Trump, and I'm upset too because this is dangerous on so many levels. And Russia's massive offensive, taking huge pieces of Ukraine. Just all off to the races, as they say. But before I do that, I want to just give you an update on InfoWars and what's happening there. I got some news this morning when I woke up, before I went and did a podcast with other podcasts in the studio. And it was, I was in federal court last week where the Democrat Party and the Justice Department, still under Democrat control in many areas, the Office of Bankruptcy that intervened in my case, same folks who had the fake auctions and tried to not let good people buy it to shut us down. They've admitted all that in documents. They said, well, we're going to file some lawsuits against Mr. Jones next week. We found some bad stuff. Of course, they've had 4 different auditors, all this other stuff. Everything they said wasn't true. So I kept wondering, I wonder what it is. What the big allegations are going to be. Well, they filed 3 lawsuits against me in the bankruptcy, against my dad, is my parents. And you'll see it all in the news. Whatever they say is always true. Of course, then when it isn't true, it just leaves the papers. What they do is they use the estate, the little bit of money that I did have, they got from me, that they used to bill the U.S. trustee themselves, their law firm that he works at, millions of dollars they've already gone through, for the audits, for the harassment, for the lawsuits. And then there's the money they say is there, the things they say are there aren't there. It doesn't matter, it just moves on. And the judge has been getting pissed off about it, so it's not going to go well for him, but I still have to defend it. And again, they didn't want to settle with me for more money than I ever made, and I knew they would, and that's on record. They say we're not going to settle, and we want to just shut him down, so they want to just continue to never have an agreement so they can come after me and anybody else that ever tries to employ me. That's their plan. But, of course, it's not working. So you see these headlines. Alex Jones has yet to pay Sandy Hook families, NPR. This is a few weeks ago. Yet to pay because I'm on appeal. And I've been winning the appeals process, contrary to what you see in the news. Even at the Third Circuit Court of Appeals in Texas is very liberal. They said, you guys did stuff that isn't even law. They found me civilly liable for things that wasn't even before the jury. And the judge already found me guilty. And then they found me guilty of elder abuse. The judge did 2 weeks after the jury verdict. And you can't do that. And then they say, he won't pay us. Well, it's on appeal. But I also tried to settle and also went and did bankruptcy because I was out of money to show all these lies that have hundreds of millions of dollars and I made it off them. Is it true? Of course, we released videos the last few months showing when they start hyping me up, when they sue me, going from their foundations making a few million a year to 15, 20, 30 million, hundreds of millions off my name, saying I'm victimizing him, coming after him and running fundraiser ads for Bloomberg's gun control group that's a front for. Then he had the Onion try to come in and their fake auction that they wouldn't let anybody else bid on and buy it for basically nothing. And then the judge said, that's not a real auction. So we've sued the U.S. trustee. More's coming. I'll tell you, the Justice Department's investigating it. And I was in court with them, and they just looked at me and said, well, we got some big actions against him next week. And so 13, 14 years ago, my dad owned a couple dental offices. He was super stressed out. Even though he was, like 62, he was having heart problems over it, palpitations, stress. And I said, Dad, you already have been involved in development of stuff and all sorts of drug development and all sorts of stuff that he, where the Pentagon actually patents a lot of stuff with herbs. He'd been involved with that before. I said, why don't you come run a supplement company for me? Because according to lawyers, you don't want to have your supplement company in your broadcast company. It's just separate. I don't know how to do it. We got all these great sponsors. You've got all the contacts. I want you to come make sure it's all compliant. He did that. It did okay. Most years he made about $500,000, which he said, I need to make that. That's what I make these dental offices to pay all this stuff, do it. I said, sure. And he ended up making that usually. So he ran the supplement company, the parent company that was over, the InfoWars supplements. And they alleged, as you saw, hundreds of millions in hidden money, and Jones put it over here. So they audited them and sued them and all this. And it came out in the news. Jones has meager assets. The books were correct, blah, blah, blah. But there were things over the 5 years before the bankruptcy where he wouldn't, sometimes wait if Free Speech Systems hadn't paid for some supplements. We need them quick. He would just pay it and they would get reimbursed. They're trying to call those things something. It's only like $600,000 and it's already accounted for. And we'll spend more than that just fighting them. And they know all that. It was all declared years ago. 3 years this is gone. They never said it, never did anything. You know, it's not an issue. They can have headlines about I'm being, you know, my parents are being sued for this and that. And also a family trust before I ever got sued with a condominium I bought right by my parents' house. Figure some of my kids want to stay in Austin and would want to go to school here. Now three of them are grown up and actually 2 of them do stay there. It's a nice thing. I figured when my parents got old, maybe they might, you know, be next to them. And, you know, and my dad is having some health problems now and set to have open heart surgery in a month, a little over 5 weeks from now, and a lot of other stuff. I'm going to leave it at that. And he's, you know, it's just, you know, it's rough. And they know that because 6 months ago, he settled with them, with Chris Murray, and said, fine, I'll give up PQPR, the parent company that he owns half of. I'd already given up my percentage. And he said, I'll give it up, even though I was owed money in the bankruptcy, $6 million. He said, I'll just give it up for my legal bills of $350,000 that was then paid to his lawyers. And my lawyers looked at it and said, you better tell your dad not to do this. It says right here he's not really released. And my dad's like, no, they wouldn't do that. They said, you know, we know you're sick and all this stuff. And he says, it's not going to be a thing. And then they turned right around and went to court and said it was worth a $6 million note, even though there's no money there. And then they're now valuing at that, even though they said it wasn't worth that. And then they filed lawsuits on him last night. So they know that I'm tough. And they know my parents are tough. And my dad, you know, is a private guy, but I mean, I'll just tell you, he's got an artery blocked in his brainstem. He's having trouble walking. He's got to have open heart surgery on his aorta that's about to blow. And a bunch of other stuff's going on. They're doing more scans and stuff. There's a good chance he's going to die. And they love it. They are just, boom, let's get his ass right now. That's how we'll get Jones. Well, you just turbocharge my energy next level. And I swear to God, I will legally and lawfully, non-violently be there when you are defeated, and you will pay for your, what I believe are crimes against humanity and a conspiracy against my rights and stalking and torture and everything else you've done. So that's the bottom line. So I don't get into my private family stuff. The crew didn't even know about this. But that's the kind of stuff I deal with. And so I hope the crew, I wasn't really mean today when I showed up a little bit late and stuff and said, you know, sorry. And, you know, one guy got mad and left. That's fine. But the point is that I didn't kind of just offload that to everybody. That's what I was just dealing with. So that's the, and I try to do the best I can and try to control myself. But they know the only way they can get at me is my family. Well, if they think that's going to make me back down and they think that's going to make my parents or my mother be mad at me, we've never been closer. We've always been close. My parents are, you keep fighting and blah, blah, blah. But the issue is that they still are naive, not now. So I just talked to them before I came in here and before I came over here. And they're just like, what? I'm just like, yeah, because it's open season on me and my family because I'm standing in the way of them coming after you. And if they think killing my dad, if they think that's going to give them some victory, okay, my dad's had a great life, okay? That's your problem, all right? And they're going to depose him and all of it and come after him and then try to, whatever, you know, if you think that moves the needle on me, you're gravely mistaken. So, but just look at this crap. Alex Jones has yet to pay Sandy Hook families. Alex Jones appeals $50 million Sandy Hook award, finds favor, with the Third Circuit. They said this is illegal what they did in 7 instances. Connecticut Supreme Court denies here Alex Jones's appeal, so that's going to the Supreme Court. People go, how do you feel like you're going to pay that? I've never had over $10 million, and I'd had that in a Bitcoin donation, like $9 million. And we put it all in the company. And then they didn't believe that and said, we're going to put you in jail for lying in court. And gave it all to the company, which was personally given to me. I could have kept it. I didn't give a damn about that. It was perfect money we needed for like 3 years to operate. Turned out it was the exact underage we had over those 3 years. It was like magic. God did that. I don't know who gave it to us. It was anonymous. So I do this because I believe in this and we've changed the world together. But I want to tell listeners here, I don't want you to feel sorry for me. I want you to keep me in the fight. And I want you to understand these people, this whole globalist system. So every time I talk about these lawyers and the Justice Department, and the things they've done to me, which has all come out that they've run the whole thing, the actual Justice Department, they get up in court and they go, Your Honor, he just attacked the families and just said that they've done all these horrible things. The families. The families they got to sue me, the bunch of them that run these huge nonprofits that raise hundreds of millions of dollars on my name saying I'm persecuting them, those? The ones that got $74 million from Remington when the mother bought the gun legally that Adam Lanza used, the guy, the killer? I don't ever talk about those people. I'd said one of their names out of the people that sued me. The FBI agent that admitted he went and got the lawsuits going said I never said his name. My crew never said his name. Didn't even know who he was till he sued me. Never showed him, never didn't know who he was. $130 million of imaginary money he got. $130 million. Yeah. This is just cuckoo land. Absolute, total, and complete cuckoo land. And it just goes on and on and on and on. And that's what a long fight is about. And they are beyond pissed that they've spent $300+ million they filed last year in court. Paul Weiss, the big Democrat law firm, all of them together, they filed what they've done, suing me. And we've spent about $22 million in the last 6-7 years fighting them. You did. So that donation by buying product, you got great product at the same time, kept us in the fight while we broke all these massive stories ahead of the curve, while we derailed the globalists, while we've done incredible things together, thousands of giant stories that were game changers we broke together. You did all that. And so, contrary to this demoralizing me, contrary to this, them just always upping the ante, more, I just up the ante. I just level up. I need your prayer. I need your word of mouth. We're all in this together. I need your financial support. And we make it so easy. When you go to realalexjones.com, it is the sister site run by the great folks at Bigley, the exact same shopping cart, exact same system. It's got subscriptions, all the same deals. Some deals are even better. Some of the products that are there, like